I started reading every book and article and watching videos and listening to podcasts. It got to this point where, gosh, I was just pissed off because of all the stuff I was taught growing up and all the stuff that we're all taught growing up about nutrition that is just dead wrong. And it's just absolutely backwards. And now you go to a stadium or a baseball game, or you see that 80% of the people are overweight and half of those people are obese. It just pissed me off. I was just lied to my whole life.
This is A Joyful Rebellion, the podcast that explores that moment you realize the life and success you worked so hard to create didn't come with all the fulfillment you thought it would. I'm your host, James Walters, and I want you to be the author of your own story. Each week, I connect with people who inspire bold answers to the question, what do I do now to create a life I love? If you're ready to start answering that question for yourself, you're in the right place. So let's start a joyful rebellion. A joyful rebellion is all about taking accountability for the decisions we make in our life and doing the things necessary to live the life we want, not just the life we currently have. We make so many choices over our lifetime, and some we see as major, like careers and relationships, while there are others we fool ourselves into believing are less significant. And there's no shortage of those, but today we're talking about the food we choose to eat. My guest today is Coach Becker, a fat loss coach and creator of the Keto Code program. I first met Becker back in the early 2000s at a photo conference in Las Vegas. And since that time, I've watched him go through his own joyful rebellion by losing 100 pounds and creating a completely new life for himself. And if you listen to the full episode, I think you'll agree that is no exaggeration. I knew this would be an interview that could help anyone who listened to it with an open mind. What I didn't realize is how much the conversation helped improve my own mindset around food and health in general. Oh, and if you're about to switch over to your favorite true crime podcast because you're tired of hearing about the keto diet, you're in luck. While it is mentioned a few times, it's not the core message here. This episode has been a long time coming, so let's jump right in. I've seen your posts over a while, and I've found that sometimes when you find out, oh, this is what really makes me happy, because we work in our 20s, we work in our 30s, and we're just grinding away, and then we get to a certain place of what we thought success would bring us, and then it's, damn, I really might need to rethink this. And that's why I'm excited to talk to you, because you've not only gone through this journey, you've created what I call a joyful rebellion of your own, but now you help people capture their own, or at least get closer. And that's what I love to do, is talk to people who A, have either been through the journey, or B, help people do it. You've done both. So that's why I'm really excited to have this conversation today.
Right on. It's right up my alley. I love that whole idea of trying to elevate the game and trying to help others and be an example. And I think it's definitely really important.
Now, catch me up, because I think the last time I talked with you was 2008. So it's been a minute.
Has it been that long? Okay, it's 15 years.
In person,
okay.
Like face to face.
Yeah, PPI a couple years ago. Yeah, gosh, 15 years ago.
Ah.
Okay. Yeah, no, fast forward. So 2011 was a pivotal year for me. I came to St. Louis for the first time. I spoke at a photo conference. That was just like a privately held, it was about 120 people.
Okay.
That was put on just by a local photographer. And she had me come in and headline. And I did my little talk. And people knew who I was in the photo industry. And so everybody comes up afterwards, get my picture together. And this girl came up and took her picture, and it was right after I started losing weight too. I was down about 60 pounds at the time.
Nice.
So I felt like I look good in the picture. For the first time in my life, I'm like, dang, I look good. I had just bought some brand new jeans. I got into some 34s because I was wearing 40 size jeans. I bought some 34s right before this trip. And to be honest, I was like, I look so good in that picture. And I'm like, hey, can you text me that photo? And I got her number like that. And yada, yada. We have 3 kids, and I'm living just outside of St. Louis.
It's awesome.
It's been a trip. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
so
having fun.
Yeah, living life. People don't have to meet you for more than a minute or two to know that you've got a pretty big personality. You like to live life. And also, I think the last time I saw you, you were really grinding as a photographer. You were like loving that experience, traveling the world, just having a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the point where you realized that even though you were doing the thing you love to do, you were going all over the place, having a blast. When did you look at things and say, wow, I probably want to make a change in myself?
Yeah, I remember it was 2010. And at that time, I was shooting a bunch of weddings. The financial crisis had kind of happened in 08, 09, but I still was doing very well. It wasn't until the next year where kind of the weddings caught up to that and slowed down and stuff. But I remember again, shooting all these weddings. I was making really good money. I was building the B school and I had this, following, and I was well known in the photo world. And again, I felt like I was crushing all of my business goals, but my relationships were crap and my health wasn't very good. I remember speaking at an event one time and I was talking about how, you just got to set your mind to it. You can achieve any goal that you want to. And I really did believe that. Like business-wise, I was very driven, I was very ambitious, and I was like going to go for it. And I just remember getting off stage and going, oh my God, I'm such a fraud. Because here I am saying you can do anything you set your mind to. Yeah. But here I am almost 300 pounds. And I was like, I couldn't lose weight to save my life. I had terrible relationships. And I had girlfriends here and there, but I wasn't a very good boyfriend. I was very selfish and I wasn't happy. So even though I was making good money, and I was respected by my peers, I was this stuff, but I just felt like, gosh, man, I say you can do anything you want. How come I can't lose any weight? And it was right at the end of the year, and Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body book had just launched in December 2010, and I picked that up, and I had already read his 4-Hour Workweek because I really liked that whole idea, and I loved Tim Ferriss, and I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this slow carb thing and see what happens. And I lost 9 pounds the first week. This is at Christmas time. I lost 9 pounds. I'm like, if I can do it this time, I can do it anytime. 2 weeks later, I'm down 15 pounds. 3 months later, I'm down 50 pounds and I felt amazing. Tim Ferriss actually retweeted my post like, hey, down 50 pounds, following this plan. And it was great. But then I realized I lost 50 pounds and I'm like, oh no, I'm still fat.
Oh gosh.
I never set out to lose 100 pounds because I didn't know I had 100 pounds to lose. Plus the thought of losing 100 pounds seems impossible. So again, it was really just 50 pounds and I did feel a lot better and I was doing good, but I was like, I still got a ways to go. So I just kept going. That was the thing. I just really felt like, even though I was fulfilled professionally and I was enjoying my success, I loved being a photographer. I loved helping other photographers. Again, I just wasn't happy. My personal life suffered. And then, like I said, my health wasn't good. I had high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. I was suffering with every once in a while just bouts of depression. Not really bad because I've always had a pretty good attitude, but sometimes you just get down on yourself and the negative self-talk can wear on. I never had clinical depression or anything like that. I've never been on any medications, but it's just been one of those things where I wasn't feeling super happy. Yeah. And once I started losing weight, it was cool to lose weight because it was like, oh yeah, I was always like the little fat kid. I was always overweight. I was always teased and picked on and rejected. And I had all kinds of issues stemming from that. But not only did I just feel more confident after losing weight, I just physically felt better. And I no longer had the high blood pressure. I was no longer pre-diabetic. I was no longer suffering from these. I was just endless energy.
Yeah.
And again, it was like one of those things, like I look back and the decision to make my health a priority is I think the best decision that I ever made. Because again, when I met my wife, I was down 60 pounds at that point. If I would have met my wife at my highest weight, she would not have given me her phone number. She might have texted me that photo, but she would not have answered the call and said, hey, do you want to go to a Cardinal game the next night? And so she was like really, not that I'm saying my wife's shallow, but she was really into health and fitness. She was a yoga teacher, all that kind of stuff, in addition to being a photographer. But it was just like, hey, I put my health and fitness as a priority. I started losing all the weight. And again, I just started feeling better. And I met this girl and then my whole life changed in 2011. We did the long distance relationship for a while and back and forth and whatever. And I ended up moving to St. Louis 9 years ago. I've been here since June of 2014. And I have 3 kids now. I live in the Midwest. My life is different than it was the last time I spoke with you.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, I don't make nearly as much money as I did when I was just crushing it in wedding photography, but I've never felt richer. I've never felt happier. I've got a beautiful relationship with my beautiful wife, who I like to brag is almost 12 years younger than me. So that's my humble brag. But then we got 3 healthy, happy little kids. And again, for someone who never wanted to get married, I went to 500 weddings before I got married. And I was like, I'm never getting married. I don't want kids. No. For someone who didn't want kids, I sure love being a dad. And there's obviously challenges and stuff, but these kids are my world and I'd do anything for them. And I found so much peace and joy in fatherhood and having meaning beyond the selfish life I was living where all I cared about was making money and becoming this famous photographer. I don't care about any of that anymore. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I want my kids to be happy and healthy. My wife and I have a really solid relationship. She really is my best friend. We just shoot a destination wedding in Cabo a week ago, and it was her first time away from the kids. And she really needed it. It'd been 8 years. This is 8 years old, and we really hadn't traveled much. And So she's either pregnant or breastfeeding for most of the last 8 years and stuff. And it was just a really nice time to get away. And then we shot an awesome wedding, and I still do photography, and I love photography. I still love taking pictures, showing up at the weddings, people dressed up, they're looking good, they're happy.
Yeah.
But what I love now is after the wedding's over, it's, here you go, babe, here's the cards. And she just takes care of it. She downloads, backs up, she does all the stuff. So I literally just shoot, which I still love shooting. But man, I am open Photoshopping forever. I don't edit photos. I don't do parent albums. I don't deal with timelines and that stuff. And it's just a great little combo. And again, my life's a little different, but I still love photography, and I love helping people get fit and making their health a priority.
That's really a good segue, because sometimes it is the relationships around you that kind of give you that push. Now, you were already on that journey before you found that relationship, but part of what I've discovered, especially through talking with people in this podcast, is relationships are so important, and they can be fundamental in helping people arrive at the joy that they seem to be looking for. And sometimes they're looking for it outside of themselves. One of my interviews was a relationship coach, and she talks about how when you're looking for someone you want to spend your life with, chemistry is important. And chemistry is a lot of the stuff like that, physical attraction, or it might be the opposites attract kind of things. But she said it really comes down to values as to how it's going to work over the long term. And like you said, your wife, not that she's shallow, but she valued being healthy. So that's something that you embodied at that point. You were on that journey. She probably saw that, and you guys could go on the journey together, which is pretty awesome. So that takes us to, you decided to make a change. Then you found Tim Ferriss's book. That was Slow Carb. When did it transform into full on keto? Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what we're doing beyond keto these days. But what happened was I started this in December 2010, and again, lost the weight. And that first year I ended up losing 70 pounds. I kept it off for basically 2 full years, kept it off. When I ended up moving to St. Louis, and again, we closed the B school, and there was a lot of drama, and the long distance relationship was tough. And then again, just the business closing and whatever. And I had another business venture that kind of went sideways. And so some issues started happening. And then I moved to St. Louis, and the cheat days turned into cheat weekends or cheat weeks. And I started slowly gaining the weight back, and I was getting back into old habits. Yeah. And it was the point where it was like, oh, we're having a kid, and we weren't married. And so it was like one of those things where we did the math. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a dad at 41 years old. And I just think back when my dad was 41, I was 20. So I'm like going to be an older dad. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where I was like, we were actually in Jamaica for a destination wedding, like a month or so before my daughter was born. And it was all-inclusive resort. And I'm sitting there on the beach eating ice cream cones and pizza and whatever. And just knowing that I had been gaining some weight back. And I'm like, the second we get back from Jamaica, I'm going to get back on track. And I actually read a book called Eat Bacon, Don't Jog, which my wife got for me as a joke. And I'm like, the joke's on her because her house always smells like bacon now. But I loved bacon. I hate jogging. And it was just a great book. And I learned so much about keto and just the whole low carb approach, and how in Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Body, I experienced all these things that they were talking about in the book. I got back from this trip and I weighed in, and I realized, oh my gosh, I gained half the weight back. So I gained 35 pounds back. I was down 70 pounds. I gained 35. Whoa. My daughter is due in 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, now it's all about health, not just weight loss, because as an older dad, I want to be healthy. So I went from the slow carb thing and then just did full keto and eating bacon and don't jogging, right? And so I just went full keto, and I lost those 35 pounds in about 35 days. It was about 6 weeks actually. And I was like back down 70 pounds. And then boom, my daughter is born at the end of May. And it's like, man, first time dad. And there's like a picture in the delivery room. I'm like crying. And I'm not really a crier, I would say, but like, I always said, oh, I got something in my eye. But I mean, I was just like, I couldn't believe in an instant being a dad just changed me. And it was so fundamental. And it was just like, oh my God, this precious little girl who was so sweet. And she was our world. And everything just became about her. And so I really just started being really healthy. But at that same time too, not only getting back on keto and losing the weight, that's when I actually really started studying nutrition. I started reading every book and article and watching videos and listening to podcasts. It got to this point where, gosh, I was just pissed off because of all the stuff I was taught growing up, and all the stuff that we're all taught growing up about nutrition that is just dead wrong. And it's just absolutely backwards, and they basically got it all wrong. And now you can see you go to a stadium or a baseball game, or you go to Walmart and that 80% of the people are overweight and half of those people are obese. It just pissed me off. I'm like, God, I was just lied to my whole life. So let me try this thing. I started losing weight, and then I threw up a little challenge. I literally just had a little Facebook group and a PayPal link, and I said, hey, you want to join my challenge? And it's basically 50 photographers, almost just friends of mine that saw my transformation. They saw I was down about 70 pounds, and they're like, I'll do what he's doing. And I just started coaching people on the side, a little side hustle thing. And it was shortly after my daughter was born, and it was just like, okay, hey, let's get some accountability group and let's get in here. And we started eating low carb, and we're eating bacon cheeseburgers, and we're just taking the bun off, and we're not eating the fries. Then I was down to 88 pounds, and I was like, oh, I was feeling good. And I felt really good actually at about that weight. And I was like, okay, this is probably good. I don't really need to lose anymore. But I just kept coaching people and helping people. And then a few months later, I'm like, I'm down 99 pounds. Let's see here. And so I did hit the 100-pound mark, but it was just like, that was too skinny for me. I was not feeling great. I was like really cutting back on what I was eating and stuff like that. And so I don't know, that was a great weight for me, but that 85-ish pound mark has been really good. And I've been able to maintain that for years in that ballpark. And I fluctuate 5 or 7 pounds all the time, just because again, it really is about a lifestyle. It's not about a diet. So I don't follow a keto diet. Right now, I just don't eat processed food very often. And it really is just avoiding junk and crap. And then every once in a while, I have 3 kids now. I have 2 daughters, and then now we have a young son. He's 2 years old. And every once in a while, I'll take him out for ice cream. And I don't want to be the guy, oh, I can't eat ice cream because I'm keto. It's like, who doesn't like ice cream? I like ice cream, and I like spending time with my kids. So we're going to have ice cream once or twice a month. So I'm not really strict with it, but it's not about what you do every once in a while. It's about what you eat on a regular basis. And so throughout the week, we're eating really clean and high quality protein and good fat and all organic vegetables that we get from a local farm. And we're spending less and less time at the grocery store because we get our meat from a rancher just south of St. Louis. And about every 3 months, I pick up a quarter of a cow. It's all frozen and processed and cut up. We throw it in the deep freeze, and then I just cook food throughout the week. There's a local farm. We get like a farm share, and every Thursday we just go, and we never know what this is. Here's a big old basket of vegetables and potatoes and random stuff and whatever. Right. But it's all organic. It's produced with love. It's people that we actually have got to know our farmer, and we love these people. They've got 2 young kids as well. And again, it's just like this whole thing where we're just living this life of, hey, it's all about health, and it's about what you put in your body, what you put on your body. So my coaching business has evolved over the years, and I definitely let people know, hey, if you want to lose weight, I will show you how. And keto is a great tool. But then as soon as they sign up for my program, they realize it's not really about weight loss. It's about health gain, and the weight loss is just a really nice side effect. So we're just saying, hey, you don't always have to be in ketosis. You don't always have to be low carb. Nobody gets fat from eating too many apples or too much broccoli when those are all carbs. It's like, avoid the processed stuff, and every once in a while, you knock yourself out. We were all-inclusive last week. I had little treats. I had some things that I don't normally eat. I didn't feel great when I came home. I gained a couple pounds, but man, the second I got home, right back on track. The weight's already off. I feel great. And it's really trying to build it into a lifestyle and ditching this whole diet mentality. And it's been really rewarding. I've helped hundreds of people lose thousands of pounds now. And the point is, okay, great that you lost the weight, but now the trick is keeping it off, because any diet's going to work in the short term. Ditch that diet mentality. Let's eat real food. Let's make it about health, and then the weight loss like an afterthought. And so it's just a mental shift. I feel like I'm living my life like I want to be an example to others, because if you knew me back in the day and you knew my eating habits, I was a bachelor living alone, making great money from photography, and I didn't cook. I had food delivered 6 nights a week. Yeah. And on the 7th night, I was usually eating a box of cereal for dinner, or Stouffer's French bread pizza, or whatever. I just eating crap food. Gosh, I remember back. It's so embarrassing, but I literally exchanged Christmas cards with the manager of our local Jack in the Box. He knew me so well.
Whoa.
I'm like, oh my God.
Oh no.
I was like, it was bad. He was like, anyway, like I was there all the time. So life is different now, and we're having a good time.
Very different. Very good time. And I love the fact that you work a lot on mindset, because like you said, it's not really a diet. It's more of the lifestyle, but you have to figure out what you want your lifestyle to be. And I know anytime I've ever heard someone bring up keto or any of the other diets that are, I guess, what you would call the brand name kind of diets that you would recognize, it seems like people either know enough to be really dangerous and have spread a lot of misinformation, or they get it confused with another one. Is keto paleo, or is paleo? And they'll mix up a lot of different brand name diets, but not necessarily understand how you integrate those into your life. So can you talk a little bit about how you might start with a new client and say, look, a lot of people call it a keto diet, but this is how we're going to make it part of you and how you
Yeah.
maybe work through some of that confusion people have?
Yeah. My program is called the Keto Code, and it's about helping
Okay.
people figure out something that works for them.
Okay.
It breaks down, it's a 4-phase program, and we do talk about, hey, here's keto, there's carnivore, there's paleo, there's Whole30, there's all these different low-carb protocols. And ultimately, it's about figuring out what works for you, because everyone has different tastes and different preferences, and people have different beliefs about food, different genetics, different income levels. Not everyone can go to Whole Foods and buy grass-fed meat, and they need to go to Walmart and buy it. But it's, hey, the meat at Walmart is still healthier than anything else at Walmart as far as all
Right.
the other crap that people are eating and stuff. And so it really is about the first phase is about what not to eat. Okay. It's about what
Okay.
to avoid. And it
Yeah.
really, it comes down to, we want to avoid 3 things. We want to avoid added sugar. Okay. Not like sugar in an apple, not the end of the world, but avoid the added sugar. Avoid refined grains. We were told our whole life that there's healthy whole grains. Heart healthy whole grains is an oxymoron. There's absolutely no such thing. It's so funny that everyone's, oh, eat grains and you'll get thin. It's funny because when farmers want to fatten up their animals, they just feed them grains.
They do.
And then forever we were taught that saturated fat is bad and red meat's bad and stuff like that. So they want you to go towards the vegetable oils, also known as industrial seed oils. And that's what you need to avoid. So no sugar, no grains, no seed oils. If you do those 3 things, your health is going to improve immensely and you're going to lose weight without even trying. So if you can just avoid those 3 things. The problem is those 3 things are in every processed food imaginable. You walk down the middle of the grocery store, and I'm not joking, 95 out of 100 products are going to have at least 1, if not more, of those 3 ingredients. So if you can just avoid that stuff. And then the thing is, you don't want to focus on what you can't have, because if you're just sitting there, I can't have bread, I can't have bread, I can't have bread, all you're thinking about is bread. So you just focus on what you can have, which is real food. They talk about shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. Go to the meat, the dairy, the cheese, the veggies, the fruit, that kind of stuff. So the first part of it is, okay, we're just going to cut out those kind of processed foods, the refined carbohydrates. If you just do that for 3 or 4 weeks, you will go into that state of ketosis. You will, by dropping the carbohydrates to a really low level, your body will actually go back to its default position and it will burn fat for fuel. That's the thing, that keto is different than all other diets. All our diets are all about calories and calories in, calories out, and doing some math and stuff like that, which, yes, calories matter, but calorie balance is like a myth, and it's so impossible for most people to do. Because if it was as simple as everyone just eating less calories, 80% of the people wouldn't be overweight. So it's not just the number of calories, but the quality of calories and the kind of calories. You start just eating real food, steaks, pork chops, bacon, burgers, all kind of my favorite things. I used to call it the bacon cheeseburger diet. And like I said, we'd either lettuce wrap it, or I don't even really like lettuce that much, so I just eat it with a fork. And I was eating that 4 days a week. And the crazy thing about red meat is we never ever get sick of it, because we've been eating this for our entire existence on this planet. So for people to say, oh, red meat's not good for you, I'm like, you're crazy if you think that. You're gullible, you're not very smart, and it's one of those things where we've been eating our whole time. There's not been a single study that's shown that removing red meat is going to improve health outcomes. All these vegan studies that say, oh, they cut out meat, they cut out all this other stuff too. They cut out all this processed food and stuff like that. And sure, their health improved, but it wasn't the red meat that they cut out. I still have yet to find a single study that's peer-reviewed, randomized control trial where someone just eliminated red meat and their health improved. It just doesn't happen. So it's not the red meat. And again, that was one of the lies. We were told, oh, don't eat red meat, don't eat saturated fat, don't eat butter, don't eat salt. And I pretty much eat steak, salt, and butter. That's like the foundation of my diet. And then I eat a few other things. And I've never been healthier, and I feel great, and I've got endless energy. And I went and I got a coronary calcium score, artery score, absolute 0% blockage in my arteries. Wow. The amount of bacon and butter that I've eaten in the last couple of years, most people think it would stop a truck. But unfortunately, that's just not how it works out. The foods that we've been eating forever, totally safe and healthy, all the processed foods that we've been eating the last 100 years, you could look at study after study. And the thing is, it's the seed oils. And that's what my real thing is. Every once in a while, I will have sugar. Every once in a while, I will have some sourdough bread that's been fermented and is like properly made. But I don't eat seed oils. If it has seed oils, if it has vegetable oil, corn oil, canola oil, soybean oil, which is in almost everything, I do not eat it, because that is the thing that's causing the inflammation and causing heart disease and causing Alzheimer's. People are getting Alzheimer's in their 40s now, and it didn't used to happen until they were in their 70s. And that's probably the main culprit. And you can't prove it, and it's hard to say. And no, it's healthy. Seed oils are healthy because it lowers your cholesterol. And the second you realize that low cholesterol is not the goal, you want to have a balanced ratio between HDL and triglycerides. And if you can get that close to 1, high cholesterol, people with high cholesterol live longer than people with low cholesterol. Cholesterol is so necessary, but people are so scared And got to get you on these statins, got to get you on these drugs, which is $20 billion a year industry. So of course they have an incentive to go, I got to keep your cholesterol. Take this pill for the rest of your life every single day. And it doesn't actually help. So again, that's why I'm on this mission. I feel like, again, I'm the crazy one because again, like when I tell people what my advice is, they're like, this is nuts. But anyway, back to my program. It's about that first month, just cut out the crap. Okay. Yeah. And then the second month, we help them customize it. Okay. Now that you know what to eat and what to avoid, now we can dial in how much to eat. Because I'm not saying that you can just go to a Brazilian steakhouse and eat all you can, eat meat all day long and lose weight. Every time I go to one of those stores, I get my money's worth and I come waddling out of the store, and it definitely didn't lose weight that day. But I didn't eat any crap food. It's just one of those things, like, then you just got to dial in like how much to eat. And it's hard to know, and everyone's different. We all have different sizes and different calorie requirements. I think a good rule of thumb is like whatever your goal weight is. Let's say you want to weigh 185 pounds. I'm like, try eating 185 grams of protein. If you just shoot for that, and then whatever protein you want, chicken, turkey, shrimp, fish, red meat, whatever it is, just go for that 185 grams. And then there's going to be some fat that comes with the meat, whatever, don't even worry about it. 185 grams of protein, and you eat some vegetables and fruit on the side, you're going to be fine. And that is the ultimate thing, is just to go for that area. If a woman only wants to weigh 135 pounds, eat 135 grams of protein. Smaller women, obviously my wife can't eat a 2-pound steak like I can. It's no problem for me.
Yeah.
I love me a 32-ounce steak. But so it's just trying to figure out what works. Our third phase is Keto Pro, and we start the intermittent fasting, maybe try a carnivore experience and just see what happens when you eat nothing but animal products for a month. Right. And people are like, what? That's nuts. Just steak and eggs. You do that for a month, you'll feel amazing, you'll lose weight. It won't clog your arteries. It's not going to make you drop dead. And it is so funny to think now that I eat all this steak and butter and cheese and stuff like that, people are so concerned about my health. They weren't concerned when I was eating the box of Pop-Tarts at a sitting, and the Lucky Charms, they were going crazy, and I was getting pickup sticks and California Pizza Kitchen. No one said a word. And now it's, you're eating real food, you might die. Come on.
Yeah, we're worried about you, Becker.
I remember I used to go to Burning Man. I'd go to Burning Man, I would literally get like a trough, and I'd put like an entire box of cereal, usually like Captain Crunch, Oops, all berries, or Fruity Pebbles, or
sounds amazing.
Whatever. And I would eat an entire box of cereal and a half a gallon of milk. And as a joke, I would eat it with one of those toddler sand shovels, and I would just eat my cereal. And everyone at Burning Man thought I was crazy and stuff like that. But I would polish off a box of cereal and be like, I'm still hungry. What else do we got? And I would go through, like, again, Girl Scout cookies. An open box of Girl Scout cookies, an empty box, It's like there's no moderation there. I could eat that whole entire sleeve of Thin Mints. Or the Samoas, now they call them Caramel Delights, like frozen Caramel Delights.
Yeah.
Delicious. They're insane. Yes. And I would eat those. Now, if I ate them now, and I had Girl Scout cookies maybe like 2 years ago. We bought them from a neighbor kid, and I was like, whatever, had a couple cookies. And it's like, they were good.
Yeah.
But when I eat one, I'm like, I want another one. It was like, oh my gosh, an addict. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize that they're actually addicted to sugar. And I'm not addicted. I could quit anytime. I'm like, oh yeah, quit.
Oh,
and then,
try it.
I don't want to quit because I don't want to do it. The thing is, when you quit smoking and we quit drinking, it's a little different because it's either smoke or you don't smoke, or you drink or you don't drink. But the thing is, you have to eat. A lot of people are like, I won't eat any sugar. But then they put ketchup on this. I'm like, ketchup's nothing but sugar. Even like low-fat Triscuits, you think are like, the healthiest snack food that you can eat. It's just all pure sugar. It just turns the sugar in your body. Right. Even though they're not sweet and they taste like crap. But it's just the refined grains that is going to spike your blood insulin up. It's just one of those things where people, I just don't think they understand. And I think the food companies want it that way. They don't care if you're healthy. They want to sell more boxes of Triscuits. They want to sell more Coca-Cola. Right. They want to sell the food. And it's misaligned incentives. So the food companies are just pushing their crap, and they want to smell as much food as they possibly can. And then the drug companies are like, they want to sell as many drugs as possible. They want you on these medications. And then when you're taking it, not just once, but every single day, chronically, insulin, metformin, all these things. They love America because everyone's getting fatter and sicker, and they need more and more to spend on healthcare. And now it's like, here, I'm going to be 50 this fall. I don't feel 50. I don't think I look 50. And I'm on like no medications. I'm going to just feel like in perfect health. And I think a lot of that is I eat good stuff. I make sure I get plenty of good sunlight. I move my body. I go for a good long walk every single day. I listen to podcasts. And I'm not like a sprinter or a jogger or anything like that. I don't do any kind of, I can barely ever break a sweat when I exercise. I do some strength training at home. I've got a couple kettlebells. I got some bands. I do pull-ups and push-ups. My goal is to never sweat while working out. And again, I just keep getting stronger and feeling better. The other thing that's different than my younger self when I was super driven and doing all this wedding photography and stuff and traveling, I would just stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning every night. I would just work. And then being self-employed and being a wedding photographer was nice because I never had to really wake up early. But now I just value my sleep, and I make sure that I get a full 8 hours, if not 9 hours every single night. And it's just sleep is so important. It's just these pillars of health. And it just comes down to what you eat, your sleep, your movement, all that kind of stuff. And I've just been on this mission. And so that's why even with my program, like Keto Code, I'm always evolving. I'm always changing my program. And I'm always just trying to figure out how to make it easier for people to implement it. Because again, a lot of people who tell me got to give up bread and rice and pasta, and they freak out. Like you don't have to give it up forever. And let me just show you again how you can
They're
actually.
like, but dude, I'm Italian. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
Like,
I've had a lot of Italians. Oh, I can't give up the pasta. I'm like, well, you can. You just choose not to. And it just comes down to the limiting beliefs. And the crazy thing about it is, I was that guy too. I'm like, wait, I can't have this. I can't have that. And it was like, it was just so. There's that mindset. And the crazy thing is, if you can just give it up for 3 or 4 weeks, you won't even miss it. And you'll feel so good. You'll feel so powerful that you'll be like, oh, yeah, I don't even almost miss bread. And then again, every once in a while, I'll have that cheat meal. I'll have this or that or whatever, and I'll eat it, and I'll go, oh, that was really good. And then 20 minutes later, I just feel like crap, and I feel run down, and I feel tired, and I feel sluggish, and I'm like, why did I eat that? And I know, and I've done this several times. I know better, but every once in a while, you just got to live life and not worry about it. I don't want to be like fragile. Oh, I can never have a gram of sugar or whatever. It's
you got to re-experience what it felt like. Is there a food that you used to love? Like you mentioned the cereals and things like that, but even the thought of them right now is just, oh, no.
There's lots of things where even like pasta. Pasta was like a staple. And I still enjoy eating pasta, but if I eat pasta literally 20 minutes later, I feel so bloated that I'm like, I don't want to eat for 3 days. I hate that feeling of bloat. And that's what happens is when you eat the added sugar and the refined grains, what happens to your body is you actually just get inflammation. And that's what causes all the diseases and leads to all the stuff. But it's just like the inflammation in your body, leaky gut and all these things. And they talk about the blood-brain barrier and all that stuff. And I just have brain fog when I eat them. I know for a long time, I actually lost all my weight drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. So I was like, hey, there's no carbs in that. I love Diet Dr. Pepper. And it was one of those things where I was drinking like a 12-pack a day. It was like, it was not healthy. And I would just buy the sleeves at Costco, or I'd go to the local gas station here. They got the 44-ouncer with the crushed ice and the styrofoam cup.
Oh, yeah.
I get 3 or 4 of those, and I would just go up and get refills. They all knew me there. And I went cold turkey right after Burning Man one year back in 2017. And I just was like, done. Haven't had one since. But then it was like a year or so later, it was Super Bowl Sunday. And I just thought, man, I'm making some chicken wings, which are low carb as long as they're not cooked in the bad oil. I'm like, chicken wings and a Diet Dr. Pepper just sounds so good for Super Bowl Sunday. I got my chicken wings. I would make them in the air fryer and the Frank's Red Hot Sauce, all that stuff. And then we're going to the mother-in-law's house, and she lives right by this liquor store where I get my drink. And I just went in there and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm just like, I'm not going to drink the Diet Dr. Pepper because I used to have a problem. It was like a full-on addiction. And I was just worried if I had the one, I would start drinking it again. So I didn't have it. But then the next day I was like, gosh, I really want it. And so I went by there and I literally got to the point where I filled it up and then I poured it out in a little thing. And I walked out of the store. Yeah. And then all week long, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm jonesing for a Diet Dr. Pepper because I'm thinking about it. And it's this mental thing. Finally, it was Friday after the Super Bowl. I had a poker game. I had like an hour drive, this poker game. And I get the soda and I slap the money down on the counter and I walk out to my car and I take one sip and I spit it out of my mouth because I could because I hadn't had it in a year and a half almost. Yeah. I could literally taste every single chemical that was in that Diet Dr. Pepper. And it was so gross. And then I chucked it in the trash and I've never even thought about it since. It does not have any power over me. And the thought of drinking a soda or a diet soda just is not even appealing. I still like ice cream because who doesn't like ice cream? And I have it every once in a while. But now when I have ice cream, man, I like to either make homemade ice cream or we go to a local place and Amish people making the ice cream with the raw milk. It's good and it's a treat and I don't have it all the time. So my whole program is about helping people like, hey, people come for the weight loss because they want to lose weight and they're sick of dieting and this and that. And so it's okay, yes, come for the weight loss, but let's stay for the wellness. Let's really focus on the health gain. Don't worry about the weight loss so much. It will come. But just as about developing habits and a mindset around nutrition and just go, hey, I want to feel good. I want to, as I age, I did the math, like when my son graduates from high school, I'll be 65. I'll be a senior citizen and everyone's going to think I'm his grandpa. But everyone's going to go, wow, grandpa's jacked. Like this guy's in shape and he's not walking with a cane and he's not all hunched over. He takes care of himself. And it's just like one of those things I'd like to watch my kids grow up. And we're trying to show our kids health and nutrition and eating real food. And thank God they got their mom's metabolism. So they're all relatively really fit, thin kids. But they know it's all about their protein. They got to eat their protein. I don't care if they eat their veggies. Most parents, they eat your veggies. I'm like, no, eat your protein, kids. Hey, protein costs more. It's expensive. Let's not waste protein. If you eat your veggies, great. No, they do. They love broccoli. They love cauliflower rice. They're good little eaters. And we don't have crap food at our house. Like, to my knowledge, my kids have never eaten a goldfish cracker. We don't feed them Cheerios, like the food that they give every kid, because it's all sprayed with glyphosate and it's all refined grains. It's all processed crap. But then we're also those parents, like, if they go to a birthday party, it's knock yourself out, kids, whatever you want. Yeah. We don't want to be those parents like, you can't have that. Right. But my 8-year-old, she's so sweet. She was at a birthday party just a couple weeks ago, and she's oh, they had blue cupcakes. All the food dyes in there. And she didn't eat it. So she said, Dad, I didn't have a cupcake. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to Whole Foods. You pick out your little special sugar, more organic candy. Not that it's great for them, but it's like, you made a good choice with the food dyes. And so we love seeing that kind of stuff. And they're just good little eaters and they're healthy kids. That's what's really most important.
Yeah. So you've worked with your kids a lot on that mindset because you're with them all the time. When it comes to one of your clients who comes to you, maybe they do have several pounds. Maybe they have 50 or more pounds to lose, and they come to you for that. What's the thread that kind of runs through a lot of your client experience when the conversation turns from losing that weight to shifting their mindset and keeping that weight off?
We try to shift that mindset right off the bat. We're like, hey, this is the thing. This is what we're going to focus on. And again, we're not going to track calories. The whole first month, we're not tracking anything. We're not even tracking macros or carbs. We're just saying, eat real food. Don't eat the processed crap. Avoid the big three: added sugar, refined grains, processed seed oils. Avoid those things. And I just want them, just everything. Go look in your pantry. Everything in it has soybean oil in it or something like that. Or even a lot of people think, oh, I'll eat a salad. Salad's really good for you. But every salad dressing in America, basically, that you buy at a grocery store, you get at a restaurant, is going to be made with soybean oil. And it's absolutely toxic. And so you have all these vegetables, great, good for you. And then you just pour this toxic sludge all over it. And it's not good for you. So there is a brand called Primal Kitchen that they make dressings with avocado oil. So they're much, much better for you. But then also, I remember, again, I did a blog post years ago. Here I go, there's a local barbecue place. And I go and I get a pound of brisket. And then I would bring my own sugar-free barbecue sauce this thing or some dry rub that we have. But the brisket's really good. You almost don't need anything on it. But I remember eating my pound of brisket. And this was in January. It was right after New Year's. And there were two big guys at the next table over. And they were both eating salads. And I just thought, there's nothing sadder than this beautiful barbecue place.
Right.
Again, it sounds like a beginning of a joke. Two fat guys eating a salad. And it's like, and God bless them for trying. It's New Year's. They're trying to lose some weight, but they're just putting this crap oil all over it, which is the bad fats. And it's not good for them. And I'm like, guys, if you just ate what I'm eating, your life would be much better because you'd love eating a pound of brisket as opposed to a pound of lettuce. And you would lose the weight faster and you'd be much more satisfied. So it comes down to that mindset. We have to unlearn everything. I follow another low carb blog called Unlearn Rethink. And this guy's got great info out there and stuff like that. But it's just one of those things where it's like everything they taught us.
Yeah. How much deprogramming do you have to do with clients?
A lot. I was talking to a neighbor the other day who's pre-diabetic and she's worried about this and that and whatever. And her nutritionist told her like, oh, she should be having orange juice and steel cut oats for breakfast. And I'm like, whoa, oh, that's just going to spike your insulin all day long. And you're going to get on that blood sugar roller coaster and then you're going to crash and come down and all that stuff. And so it's just crazy. I think people think used car salesmen's like the lowest of the low, but I think dietitians and nutritionists are like, they're all corrupted. They were all taught the same stuff from big food companies and big pharma companies. So it's like, they don't care about your health. And these things that everyone thinks, quinoa, or all these foods that people think are healthy. Oat milk. It's all crap oil and high sugar. Oat milk also says as much sugar as Coca-Cola. Any of the fake foods, like fake meat, all these Beyond Impossible bullshit or whatever, it's just it's just crap. If you look at the ingredients of these fake burgers and you look at the ingredients of dog food, it's the same ingredient list. It's low quality food, it's processed, and it's sourced from all over and all these ingredients mixed in. It's just crazy. Yeah. My advice is pretty counter to what everybody thinks. Like, oh, I'm going to eat this impossible. It's impossible if you get healthy that way because it's just crap food. It's just more processed food.
That's a great point because you mentioned the food companies. They can't make money off of something that grew on a tree. The farmers do that. So they have to turn it into something else. It seems like they maybe hijacked the word keto in some ways because I hear this conversation about healthy keto versus dirty keto, which is that when they just make a product and they slap the word keto on it and it is supposed to make people believe it's going to get them closer to their goals?
They'll be able to lose weight. You'll be able to lose weight because it's keto, because there's low carb. And so our Costco has like a full keto section. Wow. And one of the first things, like when you sign up for a program, is, hey, avoid all the keto foods. Okay. Here are the few exceptions that are like what I consider like training wheels. So sometimes if you need to have a low carb tortilla or something, just to get you through, because that initial transformation can be a little tricky. But it basically, I can't think of anything that I eat on a regular basis that says keto on the package. And here's the trick. It's if it has a package, I'm not really eating it. If it comes in a box or a bag, basically the only thing I get that's packaged is bacon, and it's just in the clear plastic, and bacon doesn't say keto on it. It's just bacon. When we're buying the nitrate free, our Costco has got a really good brand that we like, and it's, I don't know, $6 a pound. It's great bacon. It's really thick cut. I don't eat nearly as much bacon as I used to. When I lost my 70 pounds that first year, I was literally eating a pound of bacon a day. I eat maybe 2 pounds of bacon a week now, and I spread it out. And a lot of times I don't even eat breakfast. I'll eat on the weekends, or I'll make a bunch of bacon and the kids can just reheat it, or my wife will crumble it up on a salad or whatever. A salad with the good dressing, though, the Primal Kitchen dressing, of course. But a lot of these keto products are crap. Like Slim Fast has been in the diet game forever, and they have all these keto products. You look at the ingredients, it's like just crap. It's high fat. Well, a lot of people think mayonnaise, too. Mayonnaise. There's no carbs in mayonnaise, okay? There's no carbs in mayonnaise. But mayonnaise is nothing but soybean oil, or mostly soybean oil. It's the first ingredient, and it's just absolutely toxic. So if you want the mayo, again, get the Primal Kitchen brand if you have to have mayo. I was never a big mayo fan anyway, so it didn't really bother me to cut that out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think just because it's low carb doesn't mean it's good for you. Because if they're adding fake fats, that's no good. There are some keto granolas that are decent. There is this, again, at Costco. I feel like I could do a commercial for Costco today, but there are these little dark chocolate sweetened with stevia as opposed to sugar, like little chocolate nugget things or whatever that are decent. And I tell people if they have a severe sweet tooth, I say go get 1 bag of those from Costco to help you get through the transition. But once that bag's gone, you can't just eat those every day and expect to lose weight and get healthy.
Right.
So I really don't like a lot of the keto product. Really, my whole goal is helping people find something that works for them. I've had a few Jewish clients and they just don't eat pork.
Right.
Muslims don't eat pork, so they can't have the bacon or the pork loin or the pork chops or whatever. Okay, fine. We got to tweak that. Some people are allergic to eggs or they don't like eggs. I personally don't care for eggs. I haven't eaten a lot of eggs. My kids love them. My wife loves them. There's a farm right next door to my kids' school, so we drop them off or pick them up from school. It's one of those like honor system. You put $5 in the box, you take a dozen eggs. We watch the chickens walking around, and the lady and her mom pick up the eggs and they put them over there. They drop them in a cooler, and it's just it's healthy. You want an egg, you crack the yolk, and it's like orange. You want a dark orange yolk, all the nutrients, but it's all local. We know they're not chickens like in a sweatshop cage or like they can't move around and they're just being force-fed grains. They're eating bugs and roots and all the little stuff that chickens are supposed to eat. Knowing what goes into your food has been this eye-opening experience. And yes, I lost a lot of weight. I love it. Great. But it really comes down to the health benefits and the energy that I experience and just knowing that we're doing the right thing. And we're, like I said, we're trying to support the local farmers and ranchers and spending the least amount of money at grocery stores. Like I said, we do go to Costco quite a bit. There is a local market called Fresh Time, which has got great organic produce. And every once in a while, you do need something. My wife, they love this brand of potato chips I'm talking about that are made with avocado oil and not canola oil or anything like that. And would I recommend eating a bunch of potato chips if you're trying to lose weight? Absolutely not. But if you're at your goal weight and you want a little chips with your bunless burger, hey, they're the best ones for you. So it's just trying to make decisions, and you have to incorporate it into your life. So even though my initial program, I have a 90-day reset where here's 90 days. And if you do this, I guarantee you're losing weight. Most people lose 20 to 40 pounds. The women closer to 20. Depends on how much you have to lose, obviously. But the whole thing is here's 90 days of we're just building habits. And then the whole goal is here's what happens on day 91. Do you go back to chugging beers and eating cupcakes? Or are you going to just keep eating what you're eating? Then every once in a while, you have a treat. And that's what we want, is we want people to be able to live a life or go out to a fancy dinner for their anniversary or celebrate their birthday and eat whatever they want to eat. I always say, I'm a grown man. I will put whatever I want to in my mouth. If something looks good, I'm eating it. But then it's like, was that worth it or was it good enough? I don't feel as good. So the next day I'm right back onto my steak and sweet potatoes.
I'd imagine your clients who do that 90 days, they get to that point where they hit the 90 days, they've seen definite results in their body and how they feel. And on day 91, they're not going to go, quote, celebrate with a big pizza party.
If you were an alcoholic and you were sober for 2 years, you got your 2-year chip. You don't go out and celebrate with champagne. It could really derail you. I had a few people that have gone through the program and they're like, oh, my birthday is right after. They want to lose weight for their birthday. They sign up 90 days for their birthday and they have a bunch of birthday cake. And it's okay, not the end of the world. But then what happens is, oh, I missed the sugar, I missed the cake. And because they're addicts, then the next day they're having an ice cream cone or they're at work and they have donuts out. And then it's one of those lessons in our programs is, are you an abstainer or are you a moderator? Because some people can go in moderation and they can just have a little taste and then be done with it. But most of us food addicts, they can't do that. If I have a little bit of this,
That's
Like
hard.
I can't have 1 or 2 chocolate covered almonds. If I'm eating a dark chocolate covered almond, I'm going to finish the whole bag. So what I do is I just avoid the dark chocolate covered almonds because I know if I start eating them, it's hard to stop.
It's over.
And it really is like an addiction, just like you wouldn't, like a drug addict. Oh, they should just stop doing drugs. If you're an addict, you're an addict.
Right.
What happens is most people don't realize that they're addicted to processed foods. It's very comfortable. It's very convenient. You get the Grubhub or the DoorDash or whatever. Anyone can deliver anything at any time. You don't have to get off your couch and they'll bring you food. So eating this way does take some more effort. I hardly ever eat out. We're eating at home 20 out of 21 meals a week for the most part.
Okay.
Every once in a while we'll go out. Every once in a while I'll take the kids to Chick-fil-A or we'll go to Chipotle or something like that. Now, I love Chipotle because I just go and get a big old bowl. And I don't even say put lettuce. I'm going to just give me a bunch of meat, double protein, add the guacamole. I'll pay extra for that. It's just a matter of figuring out things that you can do outside. But for the most part, we're not eating out. And yes, we do cook. It takes some time to cook. It takes time to prepare the food. We don't just pop it in the microwave and 30 seconds later we're eating. But the trade-off is so good. And so we do spend a lot more on groceries because we're buying real food and we're buying organic produce and grass-fed meat. But we hardly spend anything on going out to dinner or out to eat or out on alcohol or anything like that. So it's like our food budget's about the same. And I do feel blessed that my wife and I are both self-employed. We work from home. We've got a flexible schedule. And so I have a little more time to prepare the food. I can imagine if you were working a 9 to 5 and a full day and whatever and coming home and cooking is the last thing on your mind.
Yeah.
But it comes down to what do you value? What do I value? I value feeling good. I value the fact that I'm not spending any money on medication or anything like that. And I feel strong. I feel really good in my body for the first time in my life. Again, I was always just so self-conscious. I don't have a 6-pack abs or anything like that. Again, I'm almost 50. I don't work out that hard, but I feel good. I feel strong. I feel flexible. I can get down on the ground and play with my 2-year-old. I can pick my girls up. They don't want to walk. And I'll take them on a bike and we got a little trailer and both of the little kids will be in the back and I'll drive for miles. And I just feel good. And again, trying to spend time as a parent and being present. I love that. Again, it's so different than my life where it used to be. It was just nothing but photography and nothing but business. And now I'd rather play Legos with my kids, rather do this or spend time with them. And I love going on bike rides and it's summertime and it's hot here in St. Louis. We got a pool pass. So this afternoon we're going to the pool. We go about every other day and we're just swimming and try to live this life where we want our kids to grow up to be like happy, healthy, well-adjusted kids. And they know we eat real food and we don't eat processed food for the most part.
Well, that sets them up for success so well because I know when I was growing up, it was that food pyramid and it was Hamburger Helpers and Domino's half the time because I was the oldest of 5 kids and man, parents were just tired at that point, had to feed the kids.
5 kids.
Right? Yeah. It was whatever was available. If it came from a box, okay, that's cool. But that was also back in the 80s when it was like, don't touch fat, butter's evil. And here, have all these carbs and sugar, and you'll probably be healthy, we think.
Well,
We're
you look back to the late 70s, the government had a meeting, and they brought all these scientists and stuff like that. It was 1977. I was 4 years old. And that's when they first started recommending a low-fat diet. And honestly, they didn't have any research behind it. And some of the people just had some thoughts or ideas. And they honestly said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And it was one of those things I look back and it's funny because you don't remember a lot before you're like 4 or 5 years old. But I remember the first conversation that my dad and I ever had. The first thing that I can actually recall is my dad said to me around that time, 77, 78, I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was born in 73. And he said, we have to switch to non-fat milk.
Oh.
Or maybe at the time he said low-fat milk.
Right.
He goes, we have to switch to low-fat milk. Otherwise, you're going to grow up and be like this. And he puffed his cheeks out. And I thought, am I have a breathing condition? No, he was saying like, I'm going to be fat. And so that's what happened. So when I look back on all this stuff after studying nutrition and seeing the life and stuff like that, I was 5 years old and we switched to the low-fat milk and then stopped eating eggs and bacon for breakfast most days and then went to the cereals and went to the Cheerios. Every once in a while we get like Lucky Charms or a sugar cereal, but it was usually Cheerios or Honey Nut Cheerios or a low sugar cereal. And that's all I did is I grew up eating cereal. And again, I was a chunky little kid, turned into like an overweight adolescent. And by the time I was an adult, I was obese. I think a lot of it just came from those advice. And you look back at the stats and it's like obesity was so rare before 1980. They start recommending the low-fat diet and it's just hockey sticks. The obesity rates are up and up. You look at the maps of each state and it's just some states are already at 50% obesity. And they're saying by 2030, 50% obesity across the board. It's already 40% of people are obese. Whoa. Obese, not just overweight. 80% of people are overweight. More than 80% of people are overweight. I'm not trying to ever fat shame anyone or be like, oh, you suck because you're fat. No, trust me, I know what fat shaming feels like. It happened to me a lot. And so I'm very sensitive to that, but it really comes down to health. So like this whole fat acceptance movement, we're like, oh, healthy at any size. Hey, God bless them to have that attitude to be confident in their own skin, but you're not healthy. You notice you don't see any obese 80-year-olds almost ever. They never make it that long. Okay. They're going to die of cancer, heart disease, dementia, diabetes. All of them are linked to insulin resistance is the number one factor it's linked to all these diseases. I have a whole video on my website and it's like a 5-minute video and it explains why some people do a lot better with low carb than others. But it just talks about ultimately are you insulin resistant or insulin sensitive? If you're insulin resistant, you're much more likely to be overweight. You're much likely to be metabolically unhealthy. You're going to have some sort of metabolic disease as you get older. That's just how it works. It's just a matter of time. And people just go, oh, right now I'll just eat this, or I'll take the injection, or I'll take the drug or the insulin or the metformin. I'll bring my blood sugar right back down. And they just realize, oh, if you just didn't eat the crap, you wouldn't have to have the medication. But then, I don't want to give up my crap. And some people don't want to. No judgment. Hey, you can't make everyone do it. So you have to want it.
If somebody does want it, if someone wants to figure out how to take charge, and I always use this analogy, if someone wants to hold the pen as they write the story of their life is how I look at that, and use some agency, the agency they've always had, but maybe just relinquished it to a food pyramid or to cravings. And I get that. I get cravings quite a lot. I like crispy, crunchy things. But let's say someone's listening to this right now and they say, you know what, I do need to figure this thing out. How do they get in touch with you?
And I'm at The Becker on all social media things, thebecker.com, at The Becker, whatever. But my company's called Ketology. It's keto and then L-Y code. And I literally have a 5-minute video that you don't have to put in your email address or anything. You just watch the video. And if it resonates with you, like, oh, this might make sense, then click the button. You can get our little commandments. We have 11 Keto Code commandments that are like, here's what you can set up. And it's absolutely free. And then I tell people like, hey, if you can do this on your own, do it on your own. And then if you need help, we've got a coaching program and we got a couple different levels. You can get one-on-one coaching or the group coaching. Most people do the group coaching because it's a really good program and you get into their community with other people that are doing it and stuff. Some people, again, if you need to lose 100 pounds or more, you might want to consider one-on-one coaching. Obviously, it costs a lot more, but it's still way cheaper than weight loss surgery, and it's going to save you more in the long run because you're not going to have all these medications and all that stuff. And I just believe that people don't realize how much the obesity is actually tied to the health outcomes. So this isn't about fat shaming. This isn't about, oh, you want to have that summer bod. It's no, you want to be healthy. That's what it really is all about. And I've got this passion for it. We're always tweaking it. And I'm getting feedback from my clients. And we had a guy finish just the other day. He lost 38 pounds. He was hoping to hit the 40-pound mark. But hey, he still did great, 38 pounds in 90 days. And then it's, okay, we'll just keep going. And he plans on keeping going. And that's the thing. He told me he just feels better. I always warn people like, hey, you sign up for my program, you'll buy new clothes at the end, or at least cinch the belt or punch a hole in the belt or whatever. I always say I guarantee the program works. I can't guarantee you'll stick with it. But the more you invest and you're surrounded by like-minded people and you have access to a coach, you're going to get a lot better results. So for me, it really is not just about weight loss. Yeah, you want to lose fat, you want to lose weight, but you want to improve your health and then just turn this into, like I always say, hey, this is how you're going to eat for 98% of the rest of your life. You go on vacation, whatever. I had a girl, she'd lost 65 pounds. She was with me for a little over 6 months. She lost 65 pounds and then they're going to Paris on their 20th wedding anniversary. I'm like, promise me you'll eat a chocolate croissant. Enjoy Paris. Don't be afraid of the carbs like that. But I said, don't eat any peanut M&Ms on the flight on the way over there. Don't eat crap just to eat crap. But if it's experiential or they're doing something like that, gosh, enjoy. If you go to Italy, eat the pasta, eat the bread. But the second you get home, again, right back on track. I eat this way because I feel good. I eat this way because I have endless energy. I eat this way because I'm in perfect health. And I don't worry about any of these metabolic diseases that are taking people out left and right. The last years with all the stuff that's going on in the world and stuff like that, didn't even almost blink. Didn't worry about anything. Because again, you look at all the stats, the people that were, I don't want to get too controversial, get you in trouble on your podcast, but the people who had bad results over the last few years were metabolically unhealthy. Mostly they're obese or they're elderly or they didn't have a strong metabolism. And if you're eating real food and you're taking care of yourself and getting proper sleep and you're moving, you're going to be just fine. And that goes with any disease or anything that goes on like that. The more metabolically healthy you are, the better outcome you're going to have in life. And for me, again, I do feel this joy. And like I mentioned, I don't make nearly as much money, but I've never felt richer because I've got health. I got beautiful relationships. I got strong, happy, healthy kids. And again, I'm just on a mission to help people with this joyful rebellion, man. So thanks for having me on.
That is awesome. I really appreciate you being here. Do you have 30 seconds for 2 lightning round questions?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. These are just random questions that get to know you a little bit better as a person. All right. If you could attend any concert in history, which one would it be?
Oh, gosh. I think some of the early U2 ones, I think that's my band. Live Aid in 85 would have been cool to see. Like I watched that Bohemian Rhapsody movie where they recreated that. It was so good. And that guy was so good as Freddie Mercury, Rami Malek. That was such a great movie. But I don't know. I'm just a huge U2 fan.
Nice. Last question. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from someone?
Gosh, so much advice. I think one of the mentors that I studied with over the last couple of years, he talks about nothing has any meaning except for the meaning you give it. Life's going to happen to you, and then it's just how you react that really matters. You can tell yourself stories like, oh, what that meant or whatever, and so you can just tell yourself a different story. I'm a big believer in choosing your own happiness, and happiness is a choice. You have to decide, hey, this is what we're going to do. One of our family values that we have for our family is we live by the Rumi quote that says, live life as it's rigged in your favor. And I just assume everything's going to work out and it's all going to be okay. And when I sing the songs when my kids go to bed at night, I sing them every single night, the Bob Marley song, Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is going to be all right. And I want my kids to know that, hey, no matter what happens, it's all going to be okay. And I think it's a good way to live. The girls had that little project where they built our family crest on an old pillowcase, and it has that little Rumi quote, live life as it rigged in your favor.
That's beautiful. And that's a perfect way to end this. Becker, thank you so much for spending some time today and giving us a ton of knowledge and a lot to think about.
Nice catching up with you, James. Take care, man.
Thanks so much for joining me today. And if you have an extra minute, I have a favor to ask. Some of you listen to this show on Apple Podcasts, and a lot of you I talk to are on Spotify or Amazon. I'd love it if you would take just a second to leave a rating or a review. It lets the platforms know that listeners are getting value from the show and suggest it to others who are interested in similar content. And as always, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a guest suggestion, or just general feedback, I'd love to hear about that too. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or at ajoyfulrebellion.com.